Hi, everybody. I would like to continue. Sorry about that. And we're going to have a word from our sponsor, Banesco Bank. I'm going to show this quick video, and then we'll let Alex say a couple of words. Alex, would you like to say a couple of words?
I'm sorry, I don't know if you're ready for me?
Yes.
Sorry, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the Doral Bar Association for allowing Banesco to participate and be this kind of sponsor. Thank you, Shirley, for leading this initiative and for continuing to keep us in mind and letting us know of any opportunities. My name is Alex Pinacho. I'm the Vice President and Market Leader of the Banesco USA Doral office. Our goal in the Doral market is to help our small business owners with their, whether their checking accounts, their savings accounts, their lending needs for real estate and working capital lines of credits. I'll talk a little bit more at the end of the meeting as I introduce myself further, but thank you once again all for allowing us to be here and for continuing to be the sponsor here. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you to all of our sponsors. So we'll continue with actually our featured speakers. I'd like to first introduce our first speaker, Adriana Espinosa. Adriana Espinosa is the owner and founder of Accounting and Bookkeeping LLC, a business that she dreamed of at the age of 25 to finally make it a reality 13 years later. Adriana has a bachelor's degree in accounting from Ramapo College of New Jersey and a master's of business with a concentration in accounting and finance from Keller Graduate School of Management. Adriana comes with 18 years in the accounting industry where she worked in the private and public sector in tax, international tax, and audits, and those roles have allowed her to offer her clients a unique take on how business should keep accurate accounting records. Adriana specializes in small to mid-sized businesses that are looking to either start their businesses or organize their books. Adriana's positive energy and knowledge are what her clients keeps her clients reaching out when they want to start another business or refer to her to others that are looking for an accountant or bookkeeper. Adriana gets inspired by seeing her clients grow their own business, and just like she had a dream all these years ago, seeing others make their dreams come true and what keeps her motivated. In her free time, Adriana likes to read, listen to music, dance, travel, to visit family and friends, and explore local restaurants wherever she might be working from. So with that said, I'd like to hand the floor over to Adriana, and we'll continue with Zach and with Manuel. I'll introduce them in just a second. And Adriana, you now you can change your slides. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you and good morning, all. Like she said, my name is Adriana Espinosa. I am the owner and founder of Luna Accounting and Bookkeeping. Before we get started, just let me make sure this is moving. And it's.
Hold on, I'm just gonna mute myself really quick. Sorry.
Just a little disclaimer. Please note that Luna Accounting and Bookkeeping LLC would not provide any tax or legal advice. You should consult your own tax and legal advisor before engaging in any transaction. With that said, let's get started. There is a little bit of a delay, so just please bear with me as I press the button. There we go. So yeah, okay, so here we go. So congratulations, you officially started your business. You are now in the road to become your own boss, to be an entrepreneur. But what do you do now? I know whenever I meet a new client, by this time they're either they open up a business account or thinking of opening one. They're either thinking of hiring a business attorney or already have a CPA. And then one of the questions that I usually do get is, how am I going to do my bookkeeping, or who's going to do my accounting? And this is where I kind of come along and play that role. I usually do start whenever I meet a new client with 3 questions. And the reason why I do this is because it gives me an idea of how you want to treat your company, where we're going to be, and also to get your book started from the beginning correctly. Because good record keeping makes your life much easier later on when you're trying to get a loan or just trying to expand your business. One of the first questions that I usually ask my clients is the following. What was the IRS selection that you decided to make in order to file your tax return? Why do I ask this question? And with the answer that I get immediately, and Zach will go over the legal registration of a business, but for my point, I'm looking more for the tax side of your business. How are you planning to treat your business? How is your business going to pay their taxes? So I usually ask this question, and the answer that I usually get is, Adriana, I'm an LLC. But then I have to go a little bit further and also speak to them about the different forms that the IRS is going to require for them to make a decision on how they're going to file their taxes and how they're going to pay their taxes. So this is usually the first question that I ask. And it also gives me a chance to find out if they've spoken to a CPA about their choices and about how they're going to do their tax planning in order to make sure that their taxes are paid properly. The second question that I ask is the following. What services or product are you providing or selling? And are you going to use cash or accrued basis? I love asking the first question about your services and your product, because that is where I get a lot of information from your business. New business owner or new entrepreneurs, they're excited, they're new, they have this new idea, they have this new product, they have this new service, and they're excited. So whenever I ask that question, I get a lot of my answers from just asking that simple question, because then they walk me through the process of how they started their business, what they're doing their business. I know some clients of mine that have a product, they walk me through the process of creating the product. And that helps me as your bookkeeper to know sort of like, okay, some of the vendors or some of the customers that I'm going to see as I'm doing your books, explain to me a little bit of why you're doing some of the expenses that you're doing, or why you have some of the revenue that you're having, or some of the research and development expenses that you're going to develop if you're producing something new. Another question that I also ask, so sort of like a 2-part question when I ask this, is how are you going to use your company? Is it going to be cash or accrual? Most of the time they'll tell me, oh, it's cash. But when I'm digging a little bit closer and reviewing a little bit more of what they do, it turns out that they're better off being accrual basis. And with that, it helps me set up their chart of accounts from the beginning in an organized correct way, instead of having to set it up in a certain way and then finding out midway or even towards the end of the year realizing that we should have been cash all year long, which that's not a good thing to discuss with your CPA. So I always ask these questions up front, and also it also gives me a chance that sometimes when I get to this point, they don't know. And this is a lot of times, this is actually the point where I get introduced to their CPA, and then together we figure out their tax benefit of being either cash or accrued basis. I also, like I said, I set up their chart of accounts correctly from the beginning in order for you to be organized from day one and have accurate records. This is very, very important when you're a new business owner, especially if in the future you're seeking to get a loan or investors into your company. Depending on the internal accounting software that you're using, if you keep your records from the beginning organized, if someone requests a balance sheet or a profit and loss report, it's easy. You already have your books organized, everything is up to date, and you can just provide this information to your bank if you're seeking a loan or your future investors. One thing that I always say, it's not if you get audited, it's when you get audited. Because it's not just the IRS that will audit you. Sometimes your local authorities do audit. A lot of times I see small audits that come from your local authorities regarding your payroll, your sales, and use tax. Most of the times, again, if your records are clean and everything's in order, these audits will go much smoother and quicker than if you didn't set up your chart of accounts from the beginning the correct way. So I stress this a lot because I've seen it, being that my background is also in audit. When I used to audit and come into some of these small businesses, knowing that they weren't set up correctly was not a good thing to let the owner know, or whoever was managing the business, that from the beginning they were not doing their records correctly. The final question that I usually ask, it's an important one. How will you treat your company when it comes to personal expenses? And why do I speak about this as your bookkeeper? Because when you are a new owner or when you have your own business, we sometimes forget about ourselves, and we sometimes forget that we ourselves also have our own personal expenses and our own personal obligations. So sometimes we get consumed in starting our business and we forget about us. So I like to get an idea of what is your plan in the future. Are you planning to take a salary for yourself? Are you planning to take any distributions, or are you contributing any money to your business? And I usually also do incorporate your CPA in this conversation, just because there should be some type of tax planning involved, and within that tax planning you will be discussing things like this. So I usually get my answers for these questions from the CPA, but I also like to ask the owner of the business, just because I need them to get used to some of the terminology that we're going to be using moving forward. And they're not only going to hear it from me, but also they're going to hear it from their tax attorney and their CPA, and then other individuals that they're going to be doing business with. I also stress a lot when I have a new client to try to keep as much as much personal expenses away from the business. Again, I understand we're new, we're trying to run our businesses, and sometimes we do come across where we may have to tap into our businesses, but I always stress, just try to keep your personal expenses as away as possible from your business. I go back to my audit background, and it's just that this was an area where I would find the most mistakes, and it will cost people more tax or penalties or something, because it's not, they would think that something that they expense was actually for the business, but it turns out that it was actually personal. So I'm very careful when it comes to this, and I go over a lot of your expenses and also explain to you why certain things you cannot expense through your personal, you can't expense personal expenses through your business. And I also ask if you contributed any money to the business. Why is this important? Because we all started somewhere. I know for me personally, I funded Luna when it first started. So these are expenses that I can't take on my business. Again, Zach would talk a little bit more about the legal aspect, but as your bookkeeper, I will be focusing a little bit more on the IRS treatment of your business, which would also help me know any personal money that you contributed to your company. How are we going to treat it? So these are usually the questions that I ask when I first meet with someone. Of course, there's tons of other questions that come up, not only with me, but also with the client. But these are just the general ones that I start with in order to begin the process of organizing your books. Some takeaways that I personally wanted to share is because I am a brand new entrepreneur. I'm also in this world. So some of the things that I wanted to share is that for me, putting together a great team of experts and mentors along the way has helped me be where I am. And not necessarily hiring an expert. I'm talking about in the last 18 years of being in the accounting world, I've come across many individuals that are experts in their field, and I became friends with them, or they became my mentors. And having a group that really knows that has your back, that they're behind you, it's wonderful. It has only not helped me personally, but also with my clients. There's times where I come across clients that have a situation, and knowing that I have these people that I can reach out to, these professionals that I can reach out to, has helped me and also my clients. So one advice that I have is, there's people out there, they will love to mentor you. They will love to get you under their wing, especially as a new entrepreneur, and show you almost a little bit of the way of how they did it. And it's also a way for them to pay it forward. And later on, as you grow, it's also your way to pay it forward to someone else. Another thing that I want to talk about is to be organized. Especially now, given that our new work situation where we're all now working from home. So as a new entrepreneur, I know it was hard for me to find a place for me to work, just because when I started my business, I was out on the road, and just, that was the idea of Luna. But when COVID hit and we had to kind of settled, finding a place for me to just call office away from my personal space was important. Not only did it help me continue my work and be organized with my clients, but it also just helped me keep my sense of sanity throughout this whole entire craziness. So that's another thing. Just be always organized, not only with your books, but also with everything dealing with your business. Another takeaway is ask as many questions as possible. For example, an event like this is perfect, where you have many experts, many professionals in other fields. So always ask. And I always say, just ask the questions, because you never know. You may have someone else may have the same question, but they may not want to ask. So always ask questions, no matter where you're at, who you meet, always ask questions. I know my mentors love it when I always ask them, how did you get started? Or what mistakes did you make? Or what do I do this? So always ask. And finally, have fun doing what you love. We all began our businesses for a reason. Remember that reason when there's times where things may not go the way that you planned, but always remember why you started your business, and do it with love. I think that especially during this time where there are some uncertainties, going back to basics and remembering why you're doing what you're doing will help you succeed. And with that ends my presentation. I'm not sure we're taking questions now or at the end, but just want to say thank you. Here's my information. Yes, my email is long. I get it all the time, but I love it now. It's almost like a conversation every time I say my email. And my phone number is a 2 area code. I am from New Jersey, living in Miami. So I still kept my 201 area code number. And that's it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Adriana. A lot of useful information for when you're starting out, and definitely good tips at the end. I myself am a business owner, and being organized, I can tell you, is a necessity. If not, you go crazy. So definitely feel you on that. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Or we will also take questions at the very end. So with that, we're going to go on to our next speaker, which I'll introduce. Zachariah Evangelista focuses his practice on providing legal guidance to innovative companies and entrepreneurs at all stages of growth. As a problem solver, he works with his clients to help them achieve the most efficient and effective solutions to the unique issues they face in the marketplace. Zachariah regularly advises clients on corporate structuring and governance, acquisitions, raising capital, intellectual property protection, franchising, licensing, leasing, and matters related to clinical research. Zachariah received his Juris Doctor degree from Florida International University College of Law in 2011 with honor. He has a Bachelor's of Arts in Anthropology from Hofstra University in Long Island, New York, and obtained a Master's in in public administration. Welcome, Zach, and thank you for the next presentation.
Excuse me. Yes, thanks.
And now I will give you control.
Journey.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Mm.
Okay, so what I'm going to be discussing now is the legal aspect of starting a business. Let me see, do I have control yet? Yes. Okay, so before we get into it, of course, as a lawyer and at a bar association, I would be ashamed if I didn't provide a disclaimer. The following does not constitute legal advice. It's only intended as general information. You should consult with an experienced attorney before deciding on your business entity or its structure, or if you are a non-business lawyer and you're helping your client, you should consult with a business lawyer before advising your client. Okay, so once you've decided to start your business, one of, if not the first thing you're going to do is decide what type of business entity you're going to operate under. Technically, under the law, there are 4 options: sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, and limited liability company. However, really there's 2 options, because you should never, ever, 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 ever operate as a sole proprietorship. There is no legal distinction between you and your business. As soon as you start selling goods or services, you are a sole proprietorship. And that means any creditor, any debt of the business, any judgments are yours, and your personal assets are at risk. So sole proprietorship is not actually an option. Partnership is essentially the same thing, except it's 2 or more people who begin selling a good or service. And just like a sole proprietorship, the personal assets are at risk. And in some ways, it's even more problematic, more liability, because your assets could be jeopardized by something one of your partners does. So you could be the rich partner, the other partner screws something up, and you end up getting sued and losing your car or your second house or whatever it may be. There are some very nuanced cases where it may make sense to be a partnership, but that's well beyond the scope of today's presentation. So generally speaking, never operate as a sole proprietorship, never operate as a partnership. So that leaves you with 2 real options to start a business: a corporation or an LLC. So what is a corporation? It is a creature of state law. You find it here in Florida under statutes, chapter 607. Corporations have legal personhood, which means they can be sued, they can enter into contracts. They pretty much can do anything a person can do except for vote and go to jail. And because of that, the owner's assets are shielded from liability. So any judgment, debt, any creditors of the business would be of the corporation and not of you or your client as the owner. But in order to avail yourself to that protection, that legal fiction, you have to treat the corporation as a separate person. And kind of going back to what Adriana was saying about not paying personal expenses from your business. That's very important. If it's its own person, you need to treat it as a separate person. In a corporation, there's one type of management structure. The shareholders, the owners of the company, elect a board of directors once a year. The board of directors control the day-to-day operations. There are fiduciary duties for the directors. They have a duty of loyalty and a duty of care. So if you find yourself on a board of directors, you have to be loyal to the company. You cannot take an opportunity away from the company. And you have to be prudent and voting on the decisions you make for the company. Corporations, by law, under 607, require certain formalities be followed. There has to be an annual meeting of the shareholders, and they elect the board of directors once a year, and those board of directors have to meet at least once a year. They can meet as many times as they want, though. At every meeting, there should be minutes taken, and those minutes need to be kept in the books. These are things that are required for a corporation to do. As I said, their shareholders are the owners. Your ownership in a corporation is represented by a share, which is sometimes called stock. It's freely transferable. It's personal property that you can buy and sell as you want. Of course, there's lots of exceptions to that, but the default is you can buy and sell your shares in your corporation however you like. And there's 2 tax options, the C Corp or the S Corp. And so if you are setting up a corporation, I believe I'm pressing next. Well, anyways, When setting up a corporation, you need your articles of incorporation, which are filed with the state of Florida. That is a document that pretty much births your company. Once they're filed with the state of Florida Division of Corporations, Sunbiz, the company exists. Bylaws will direct how decisions are made on the shareholder and board level. Again, you have to keep your minutes. Every action by the corporation needs to be approved by the board, and that needs to be memorialized in a corporate resolution. And when there are multiple owners, you're strongly advised, when you're getting advice, which this presentation is not, you should have a shareholders agreement to talk about the relationship between the shareholders. Now, LLC, which is the other option you have, is also a creature of state law. You can find LLCs in Chapter 605 of Florida statutes. Limited liability companies are legal persons. Here, though, the owners are called members, and the ownership is represented in a management by membership interest. Again, because they are legal persons, there is that limited liability for the owner. Their assets generally are not at risk. As Adriana was saying, it's a disregarded entity under the tax code, so you have a lot of options, a lot more flexibility. You can choose how you want to be taxed as a corporation, as a partnership, as a sole proprietorship, and there's a tremendous amount of flexibility in the management. Whereas a corporation, you have shareholders elect the board. Here, the members, the owners can manage the company directly. They can elect managers. They can do it once a year like a corporation. They can have one manager, and that manager picks other managers. Each member could pick a different manager. There's lots of options, and you're only really limited a little bit by the statutes and more by your own imagination. And with a limited liability company, there's only really two documents you need: articles of organization, which creates the company with the state, and everything else related to the company should be prepared in an operating agreement, which will do all of the things that all of those different documents from a corporation do, but in just one single document. Now, the key differences between the two. So when trying to determine what makes most sense for your business, your client's business, corporations have the required meetings. Limited liability companies do not have to, by law, have meetings. Corporations have the one management structure, which means shareholders elect the board. With the LLC, you can have numerous types of management structures set up. Corporations, you have to have your minutes and you have to have your meetings. None of that is required within LLC. Corporations, you have two tax options, C Corp or S Corp, and not everyone is eligible for the S Corp. With the LLC, there's multiple tax options. And one of the key distinctions, which I think is often overlooked, is, again, corporation, the shares are personal property. They're freely transferable. You can sell to whoever you want. The default treatment for the LLC is the complete opposite. Your membership interest is personal property, but you are prohibited by law from transferring it to somebody else. Now, of course, the owners can agree to the opposite, but if that's not in writing in your shareholders operating agreement, shares are freely transferable, and LLCs, you cannot sell your interest. And along those same lines, it's much easier in a corporation to create new shares. That's why you see, even though LLCs tend to be more flexible, people still do corporations when they're looking to raise capital, because it is easier to create more shares to turn around and sell to investors. So a lot of startups still choose to be corporations. Just one thing I want to emphasize, and I find that a lot of times when consulting with clients, they don't quite necessarily understand this off the bat, but in a small business, you're going to play multiple roles and have multiple hats, but you need to understand that each of these roles comes with separate legal rights and separate legal responsibilities. So as the owner of the company, it's not that many responsibilities actually, but really it's, you have the rights to the profits of the company, the distributions, and you have the rights to make decisions, whether a corporation is just to elect the board, or however you decide to set it up in the LLC, you have that high level decision making. Management, though, has the obligation to manage the day-to-day operations, and there are the fiduciary duties that come along with that. And then also, you can be an employee of the company, which is just an employer-employee relationship, the same as anyone else. So just because you're the owner doesn't mean that you don't have your rights and obligations as an employee if you are also an employee. So just understanding the different roles and the different rights and obligations that come with the different roles is important, and to not co-mingle those too much. trying to, when you're an owner, act as an owner. When you're in the management role, board of director, manager, understanding that you're in that role and acting appropriately. When there's multiple owners, there are some core issues that you really want to think about and hopefully decide upon at the beginning, if possible, because that will help reduce disputes and the costs that come with those disputes later on. Disputes are inevitable, but thinking these things through and deciding on them up front can help make them efficient and hopefully relatively painless or not as painful. Voting, transfer restrictions. Again, if it's a corporation, you can sell your shares, but you can agree to restrict that. The opposite with the LLC in the operating agreement. And thinking about, are there certain triggers, death, disability, if an owner is also an employee, if they leave, are there any situations where you would want an owner to be forced to sell? If the company wants to decide to sell to somebody, do you want to be able to force all the other owners to sell? And when you do that, how is payment going to happen? How are you going to determine the valuation of the company? If you can think about those things up front, it's going to be very helpful later on. Dispute resolution. Disputes are going to arise. Absent anything in an agreement, it's going to be litigation. Do you want to require mediation? Do you want to require arbitration? And then also restrictive covenants. Non-competes, non-disparagement, non-solicitation, non-disclosure. Do you want to have things beyond what is in the statutes and in common law? Do you want to add more restrictions? And as a point, with LLCs, you can actually reduce the restrictions. Under the new LLC Act, which is about 7 years old now, you can actually reduce the fiduciary duty of care and loyalty to a certain extent. So 2 owners can agree that they're going to start a company, but both of them can compete directly with the company. And sometimes that makes sense depending on the situation, but you need that in your operating agreement. So we also have 3 questions we ask when we first meet with a client. Who is given what? Who is getting what? How will decisions be made? The answer to these questions will be the foundation for beginning to choose LLC or corporation, as well as how you're going to structure whichever entity you choose. Who's given what is what value you bring into the company? What are you getting in exchange for that value? And again, how will the decisions from the high level and the day-to-day operations be made? And we have a bunch of other questions that we ask, just some samples of some. How many people are going to own the business? Will the owners also manage the business? Will you be looking for investors? How are you going to divide the profits? How are you going to divide the losses? Will you be operating locally, globally, statewide, nationally? If there are multiple owners, are you going to have silent partners? And when we get yes to that first question, we always ask again, because how silent are they really going to be? Each industry has different risks of litigation. What are the risks in your industry? Will new owners be allowed in the future? Are you going to retain the earnings made, or are you going to distribute every dollar that comes in? Will you actually follow the formalities of a corporation if that's on the table as an option for you? Because if you're not, then that goes into the determination. And have you spoken with your accountant? What tax treatment makes most sense for you and the other owners? And so that will play into how we set things up. So just, I guess the key takeaways here, when you're thinking about starting the business entity and what type of entity to choose, do not choose a sole proprietorship or partnership. Again, there's a few exceptions to the partnership, but unless you're a developer and there's certain tax credits you're looking for, you're not going to be doing a partnership. The LLCs are much more flexible when it comes to management. So if you're looking for something other than just your board of directors being chosen by your shareholders once a year, that would play towards the LLC and the taxation as well. You have a lot more flexibility with LLC. However, corporations are much more flexible when it comes to adding additional owners in the future. So if you're going to be looking to raise capital, that would play strongly into the corporation side of things. Try to come to agreement as much as you can up front. You're not going to be able to agree on everything necessarily, but think through at least how decisions will be made at the high level, on the day-to-day level. What are you going to be able to sell your ownership interest to somebody else? Are you going to be able to force to be sold to the other owners? And how are you going to resolve disputes? Make sure you speak to your accountant. And lastly, and often most importantly, corporations and LLCs are people. Treat them as such. Do not, do not pay your personal expenses from a corporation or an LLC. Again, the reason you choose one of these usually is to protect your personal assets. And if you disregard them as a person, if you don't treat them like a person, the courts are not going to treat them like a person, and your creditors will not treat them as a person separate from you. So that's pretty much that. This is our information, Current Associates. Also are on all the social medias. And
Thank you so much, Zach. That was very informative. I like to always say that it's better to be prepared than later on deal with issues down the line when you could have definitely thought about this much earlier and get yourself set up in a way that is not going to give you issues in the future. So that's the best advice that you could definitely give business owners today. Thank you for that, for the information. And now I would like to introduce Manuel Pila, a special guest we have from the city of Doral. Mr. Pila served as a director of marketing and public relations for the Miami Chamber of Commerce and Miami Beach Visitors Centers from 2007 to 2014. He served as the marketing communications director and program manager for the Hollywood, Florida Community Redevelopment Agency. While in Hollywood, Mr. Pila managed the CRE's communications, advertising campaigns, oversaw its business development and grants programs, and helped create the city's visitor information program, as well as some of its signature events. In 2013, Mr. Pila was featured in the Florida, The Other Hollywood episode of Music Voyager, a PBS cultural series broadcast around the world in 33 languages. In December 2014, Mr. Pila joined the city of Doral as his economic developer. This executive management position plans, organizes, and implements an economic development program to promote the growth of its city's economic base. It assists in the retention and expansion of business and seeks out new business for the city. The division manages programs designed to support entrepreneurial education and connect businesses to resources. And with that, I'd like to introduce, welcome Mr. Pila, and he will start to talk about starting a business in Doral. And I'll give you control. Give me 1 sec.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much for the introduction. Can't believe I did all that, but it's good to know. I also play drums, by the way, like taking long walks on the beach. My name is Manuel Pila. I'm the economic developer for the city of Doral. I do have a disclaimer, actually, and my disclaimer is that I don't have a disclaimer. So I will piggyback on the other disclaimers that came before and just say ditto. So thank you very much to the Doral Bar Association for having me here. I'm gonna take up too much of your time. My role in the city of Doral is economic development, which in a nutshell is helping businesses to come here, to grow here, to go through the process, to get information, to connect to resources. We help with, I administer the grants for the city, the sister cities programs or international relations, and many other kind of things, but ultimately to help businesses to come here and grow here. And that means starting a business here. And that's one of the things that we do day in and day out, which is speak to people who have a dream and want to have that dream come true here in the city of Doral. So it is really about people. Just some people happen to have smaller businesses, some people happen to have larger businesses. We really treat all of them the same way with efficiency and respect, which is what you would want from a government. The reason for that really is the culture here is informed by the fact that the city of Doral was formed by business people. And those people that formed the city in 2017, they knew that it was important to be efficient and effective and business friendly, be able to attract businesses and to help them move forward. And that is very much my role in trying to bring that vision to fruition every single day here in the city of Doral. So let's see. All right, are we moving forward? All right. So, yes, even through COVID-19, of course, the city's been affected by the pandemic, like every other city, but businesses continue to come here and continue to grow here. And they talk about how the economy is really kind of a K economy, where there are some sectors that have been struggling and other sectors that have been exploding. That is definitely very much the case here in the city of Doral. And I would definitely say that our access to the airport, our warehouse district, I think is a bright spot in the city. Medical, bio, health, everything related to distribution. Obviously, those things are very much growing here, but we still have day in and day out those people who are solopreneurs or have a small business and they're looking to do something here to get their dream going. So very often they come here and they say, I have an idea and I want to do this, and I have an idea of where I want to do it. So, we often tell them some very important tips. First of all, always come in and speak to someone here in the city of Doral first. Okay, come and speak to someone in planning and zoning before you make any major move. Before you sign a lease, for example, you can verify the current use with a zoning verification letter from the planning and zoning department. Research for open permits, liens, and violations. Determine if moratoriums are in place. Ensure that availability of parking spaces meets the business demands and expectations. You can do all that with a 15-minute meeting with someone here on the second floor of the Doral Government Center in Planning and Zoning, and ask that question. So we always tell people, look before you lease. Do not go and sign that lease before you know that you can do what you want to do there in that place and in that location, that you'll have the parking and availability. You would think that would be a pretty obvious thing. However, you'll be surprised how many people don't follow that rule, and they leap before they've really checked out the situation. So we always say, before you do anything, we can help you quickly, but come and speak to someone in planning and zoning right away. Now, if you're going to the process at the city, people get a little bent out of shape. It's really not that complicated, although it can be, depending on the scope of what you intend to do with your new business. But basically, there's kind of three ways to go through the system here when you're coming to the city to start a business. You can either kind of come in to start a business where there's not going to be any major changes, no change of use or construction. There's going to be a change of use only, or there will be change of use and construction. No change of use or construction is pretty obvious. It's a real estate office you want to open in an existing office space to be used as is. You're not going to be changing anything. So it's a simple process. You visit the planning and zoning department, step one always, and speak to someone there, the occupational license division, to apply for a certificate of use and the correspondent local business tax receipt, which is an annual tax receipt. You won't have to deal with the building permit really. So that's easy and straightforward. If you're coming in and you, for example, want to have a tutoring business in an existing office space, you're going to be just changing the use of the space, but you're not really planning on having any need for any considerable construction. You still visit the planning and zoning department to verify if that new use is allowed at that location, if it meets the parking and other zoning standards. If the change of use is allowed, then you submit your change of use plans and documents. That'll go through the building department for review and hopefully a pretty quick approval. And once your change of use is approved, you apply for that certificate of use that you will need and the local business tax receipt as well. And there's always a concurrent review going on at the county, we tell people as well. If there's change of use and there will be construction as well, then that's a more intense process. A restaurant opening an existing retail space, for example, you're still going to start planning and zoning, verify all those things you need to verify. The change of use is allowed. You'll submit your change of use plans and your documents at the building department for review. And they're going to go through that review process with you and your contractor. And you will also be working with Miami-Dade County, going through their review as well, as fire and DERM are reviewed through Miami-Dade County. And eventually you will get your, hopefully, efficient and quick process through, and you'll get everything you need. So once again, you always start with your, your plans, your idea. You go to planning and zoning department. Even if you're just starting out, know what you're going to do, get your game plan together, and you'll be going through, basically this process until ding, ding, final inspection, end of project. And then you will have your occupational license there, your certificate of use, and your annual business tax receipt, which you will renew every year. So new businesses moving into the city have to get that certificate of use, have to get that local business tax application in. You're going to also have to go through Miami-Dade DERM for a department. Fire inspections as well are not through the city. We can sometimes help with the process in the county, but we are not the county. So we always, of course, tell people the documents that they'll need for your application package. Of course, your corporate documents, lease agreement, any state licenses that are required, your type of business. Now we get this question a lot. Can I have a home office in the city of Doral? Well, yes, you can. You can operate a business from home under these conditions. No employees. You can't have customers coming there, no storage, no signs, no customer commercial vehicles. You must be authorized by your homeowners association if applicable, which in Doral is pretty much applicable. So yeah, you have a process, you're going to go through planning and zoning, you're going to verify those uses, and you're going to deal with the building department, and you're going to have those outside agencies that will play a role. And one of the good things about the city of Doral is that we try to make it as easy as possible to go through these things. And so there are a lot of services that are offered by the building department, for example, that are helpful. Pre-construction meetings, you can really work out a lot of things with design professional meetings. Sometimes a design professional sitting with staff here can work things out that would have taken a long time in the back and forth, but they can get worked out right there on the spot, and you can move forward and get things done quickly. Expedited plans review. Let's say you really need to move this project forward quickly. Well, there's a process where you can have your plans reviewed specifically, expedited, move it along quick. Digitized concurrent plan review, which obviously now in the Corona time is extremely convenient and pretty much the way everybody's going. And I want to point out one because I just think it's cool, and that's after hours inspections, which means that the city of Doral, they will book an inspection at 2 o'clock in the morning if that's what your business needs. Some poor soul is going to go out there and do that at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's what you need. So yeah, the city does try to go above and beyond to serve the needs of the businesses here, and as much as possible to do as much of it as we can, kind of online and quickly and efficiently. My role is to try to attract businesses here and try to keep them here, to be business friendly in the middle of all that. So a lot of times I'm speaking to businesses and bringing them into this process and bringing them into meetings with people that are in the process, key people, especially businesses that are doing something a little more complex. And sometimes they're from other countries. They don't exactly know how things work, and they really need a little bit more hand-holding. So I do a lot of that. And of course, we're out there promoting the city with advertising and presentations and through conferences and sponsorships and stories and partnerships. But word of mouth is really the way to go. It's really what works, and what time and again, I hear people come to me that they spoke to someone in Armenia, Colombia, one of our sister cities, who told them to speak to me, and here we are speaking. So word of mouth, it really taking care of every single customer to the best of your ability is really what makes it work. So the city does engage in a lot of partnerships with organizations where we go out to the community and share information with business groups, chambers, realtor associations, civic organizations. And we appreciate the opportunity to get the information out and find out how different sectors are doing and how different parts of the economy are doing. We also do a lot of business education. So as I mentioned, with organizations like the SBA, Miami-Dade County, the Beacon Council, Enterprise Florida, SBDC at FIU, GNCVB, the U.S. Department of Commerce, Florida Expert Finance, Prospera, many other organizations to do education. Obviously, those pictures are pre-coronavirus. So a lot of these things now are obviously webinars or online. We're doing a series right now with Google called Grow with Google, where we're helping businesses learn how to deal with the internet and use the internet and use Google services through the Grow with Google representative here in South Florida. And this is an important program for Google. It's free for the folks that are coming online and learning. And in this case, it's in Spanish, as they're looking to reach out to underrepresented communities. So this was a program that CEO of Google himself indicated was a priority moving forward during this time to help more businesses around the country learn how to use the tools available to them. So that's just one thing that's coming up. We're also doing a series right now with Camacol Doral, a new organization in town, and looking at different sectors as well and how they're doing. So one of the things that makes us interesting is that I'm able to leverage is that we're a smart city. The city of Doral for several years now, for about 3 years, has been a certified smart city with the World Council on City Data, which means that we've gone through a pretty rigorous process of submitting data and information of all different types to them to show how the city stands in its growth and in technology and its demographics, and its pollution, sustainability, resilience, all sorts of areas, including the economics of it. And we were certified as a platinum smart city. There are no other in Florida. There's only 5 others in the United States, and that's like Boston, Los Angeles, San Diego, major cities, and around the world. That puts us on the map with organization with cities like Dubai and Amsterdam and London and Toronto and other major cities. But what's great about this data is that the World Council on City Data also puts it together in such a way that you can compare. You can see how you fare with other major cities of the world. And what we've discovered is that the city of Doral, for a city of now about 70,000 people or so, is doing remarkably well in many areas, in most areas, particularly economically, when you're comparing them to major cities proportionally of the world, like London and Amsterdam. And I don't know if you can see some of these, but for example, just in the number of businesses per 100,000 population, Doral's at the top of the heap. A number of patents as well that are coming out of the city also is at the top of the heap proportionally. So this was great information for us to be able to verify to businesses. When a major business comes, it helps me to build the case for investment here, because look at all of this data I can provide you. It's third-party certified. And here's a city that's investing in itself, investing in infrastructure, technology. This really helps me sell the city. So for the small business owners, they may not be as interested in this, but they're really interested in their internet connecting. And they're really interested in having access to great infrastructure and information and data. And that's what we try to provide to the small business, as well as to that enormous major business and the brokers and the realtors that need that information to help us really sell the city. So there's many different types of business assistance we offer. Welcome packets when you when you join and get a BTR. We have facade improvement grant programs. There's Casa Linda getting their check. CBO grants for nonprofit organizations, PTSA grants for schools. I don't know of any other city that gives $6,000 to every PTA in the city for educational enhancements. We help people with the PACE program for property assessed clean energy. We have a brownfield program as well. That's very important here in the eastern part of the city. A spend local, save local program for discounts offered to residents. And very important, tomorrow, we kick off the Doral Cares Grant Program October 1st at 8 a.m., where we're going to be offering up to $10,000 maximum a grant to small businesses that need assistance due to COVID, and up to $2,500 max for emergency rental assistance for residents. Those are grants, not loans. And there's $2 million from CARES that came to us to be able to implement these programs. So you can find out more information on that on our website at cityofdoral.com if you're interested or want to pass along this information to help people. And so those are some of the things that we do to try to help businesses get started here and thrive here. And that's my name, Manuel Pila, economic developer, and my email, you can reach me, manuel.pila@cityofdoral.com. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Manuel. That was a lot of great information, and I'm actually really curious. How has the growth projection been in the city of Doral since it started? What is the rate of growth for small businesses?
The rate of growth is, I mean, I'd have to look it up to tell you exactly. I can tell you that the city in 2010 had, before it was in the last census, had 45,000 people. We got 70, almost 74 now. In several years, we have been, among the fastest growing cities in the country. I think in 2017 and 2016. But over 10 years, we're still, I think, number 8 or number 9 in the state of Florida for fastest growing city. We're definitely up there near the top over that 10-year period since the last census. So businesses keep going. So we've got over 10,000 businesses with BTRs here in the city right now. And while we did in April and May see a precipitous drop in the more or less 80 to 120, 130 new businesses that form here a month, it came right back up already starting in June, July, and we're back up now to 80, 90 more kind of normal amounts of businesses forming in the city every month and getting a BTR. So
that's amazing.
We'll continue to see that there are certain parts of the industries here that are helping to really keep our economy kind of robust, and it really helps to mitigate the impact. But we do want people to go out and support their local businesses here because they need it.
Absolutely. Definitely. Thank you so much, Manuel. And I'm going to open it up so that if anybody else has any questions for Adriana, for Zach, or for Manuel, this is a good time to either comment or ask a question. Does anybody want to raise their hand, unmute themselves? Lily?
I just have a comment for Mr. Pila. I think that you guys do an amazing job in Doral as far as assisting businesses to open. As a real estate attorney, and I've done land use for a long time, it's amazing to me how many people open up businesses and never check to see if the use that they're proposing is permitted. So I think that's really great. I love your line of look before you lease. I think that was right on point. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Feel free to use that line.
I may.
There was well, just to let you guys know, they're recording this session and we will have it available on our website. And Zach, Adriana, and Manuel will also have access to this, so they will also probably put it on their websites as well. So stay tuned, and we will probably send out an email as well with the recording. So if you're not on our email list, let us know. We can add you. And now I'm going to open it up. If no one else has any questions, I'll open it up so that we can just go around the virtual room and introduce ourselves. I will start with, let me start with a guest that we have. Brian Ruano, are you still with us? Maybe not. Brian? David Van Sky, are you still with us?
I'm here, Shirley. Great
Hi, David.
presentation. I'm with Banesco. I work in the Brickell branch, but saw the webinar on LinkedIn and found it very interesting.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. And it's good to see more Banesco faces, well, names on here. Thank you so much, David. Federico. Maybe not, Federico. Okay, we'll continue with Monica Fidel.
Yes, good morning.
There you are.
Yes. Good morning. So you're asking for specific questions?
No, you can introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. My name is Monica Fidel. I'm a personal property appraiser. I appraise fine art, furniture, antiques, and any residential contents. I'm a senior appraiser with the American Society of Appraisers, and I'm also a senior appraiser with the International Society of Appraisers. And I'm really thankful to Shirley for introducing me to this group, and also to David Wise, who in turn gave me Shirley's name. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I hope you definitely come back and join us for future events. It's good to see new faces. And Ruben, this is your first time with us as well.
Yes, my name is Ruben Alvarado. I am a real estate investor. I'm also a realtor. I buy houses. I specialize in pre-foreclosures. I do probates. That's my niche. We pay cash. I mean, we buy as many houses as we can. We like to flip houses and also wholesale properties. So yes, I would like to network with you guys, and I'm interested to talking to a few of you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Feel free to connect with one another through the chat. You can, ask for each, if you want to also put your contact information in the chat, and that everyone has it. Let's go to our next guest, iPad Pro Ines. I know that's not your name, but that's the name that we see. Ines? Okay, Ines probably stepped away, so we'll go to Frank, who is a longtime member. Thank you for being here. Frank, as always, you are a dedicated member. Take it away.
Thank you. Frank Sexton. I refer to myself as a recovering commercial litigator. Although I still have some active cases, I think I need psychological counseling. I'm now a full-time mediator, commercial matters mostly, real estate and probate, and also a AAA and ICDR arbitrator. Thank you. Always enjoy it. I was scribbling notes furiously while the panel was talking.
Good. Thanks, Frank. Thank you, Frank, for being here. Lily, who is a board member, the Doral Bar.
Hi, my name is Lillian Sir. I'm the owner of Sir & Associates. We are a boutique law firm. We're located in Coral Gables and have a satellite office in Doral. I have had my office now for over 11 years, and we focus our business to the small business owner. I'm a real estate attorney doing commercial and residential plus land use, but I have set up the office with several attorneys so we can provide a one-stop shop experience to our business owners. My passion is a small business owner. I am a small business owner. And we love to advise on all sorts of facets.
Thank you, Lily. Dora, who is also a Doral Bar board member.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the wonderful presentations. My name is Dora Gelova, and I'm a business banker working for Chase. I have 23 years of experience, and I help small businesses to find the best financial solutions for their businesses to grow. Right now, we started working for the PPP forgiveness process. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dora. And Alex Vivas, wonderful marketing chair of the Doral Bar Association. Go ahead, you can introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Adriana, Manuel, and Zach. It was a great presentation. Actually, very informative. A couple of things I didn't know about, the side of Adriana, Zach, of course, and Manuel. We'd love to connect with you later on. I'm Doral Proud. So again, my name is Alex Vivas. I'm with Marketing Strategies, and we are a marketing atelier. We take brands and we put it in front of your audience to make it very quick. And we help them grow and make a lot of money. That's what we're here for, Alex Vivas, and here to help everyone. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure having all of you here.
Yes, and thank you, Alex, for that. And on behalf of the Doral Bar Association, thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Manuel, Pila, for being here, presenting, taking this time, giving us all this great information, and we hope to see you back again. If anybody else has, one last thing, I'd like to announce that we do have our next meeting on October 28th, and our special guest is Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez, City of Doral Mayor. The topic is called Cafecito with the Mayor. I believe we're gonna have a coffee sponsor that hasn't been confirmed yet, but hopefully that will come through. And we will be discussing art, culture, and an exciting announcement coming to the City of Doral. More information to come. I don't want to spoil the good news. So you have to join us next month to learn more about what is coming to the City of Doral. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And if we don't have any more questions, we will conclude our meeting.
I think Frank had a question about hair expenses. To answer your questions, yes, there is. You can expense your hair, but there's exceptions.
Oh, okay. I thought you had so much in the news, but certainly I can take a depreciation since it's depreciating asset.
No, you'll be surprised the things people come up with, but sometimes it goes through. Sometimes IRS accepts it. So yes, you can. There's just things we have to go through.
Well, with my luck, it won't.
I think it's important as a mediator to look good, right?
Exactly.
As an arbitrator, right? Well, thank you so much, everybody. And happy Wednesday. We'll see you next month. Thank you again.
Thank you.